Well, let's talk about this show because there is a lot to get into regarding all of these different drafts and things that make absolutely no sense. So they open up with Randy Orton doing this promo, and Drew McIntyre comes out, and basically they go back and forth, and that's it. They fought around ringside.
They fought for the whole 3 hours.
Yeah, that was it. There was 3 hours of fighting.
Yeah, we only saw clips of it, but they were fighting for the whole 3 hours.
I wrote like 50 words about this, and there was just like nothing to it. I don't even know why I wasted so much time writing.
They just kept fighting. They're fighting and fighting and fighting, and nobody got cut, and nobody got hurt, and security never broke them up until, like 3 hours into the show, and I think they probably only broke them up because they were going off the air.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So Stephanie announces Raw has The Fiend, SmackDown has Bayley, Raw has Orton, SmackDown has The Street Profits, and Raw has Charlotte. So Raw could have gotten the women's champion from SmackDown, but they chose The Fiend first. So there you go.
Well, The Fiend is a star. He was the first pick.
He was the first pick. That's true.
And so who's he going to feud with?
Raw really likes these characters that are just going to screw up their show.
Yeah, I guess that means maybe. I guess he could always go with Drew. Drew needs more new opponents. Although if Orton wins the title, but then Drew would probably need somebody to feud with. They could put Drew with the Fiend. I mean, Drew's. They could. The Fiend ruins every babyface, and he hasn't ruined Drew yet. So I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. We had Owens and Aleister Black in a no DQ match, which was a fun match. They beat each other all over ringside, using chairs, etc. They did this spot where Aleister Black gave Kevin Owens a meteor onto 4 open chairs, which was totally nuts. That's when I knew he was losing, because that should have been a finish otherwise. And sure enough, Aleister accidentally kicked the post. Kevin gave him the stunner, powerbombed him through a table, and got the pin. And
so they're both going to SmackDown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Raw got Braun Strowman, SmackDown got Daniel Bryan, Raw got Matt Riddle, SmackDown got Kevin Owens, and Raw got Jeff Hardy. So then, yes, we have Miz and Morrison interviewing Dana and Mandy. This was atrocious. Mandy's upset for a moment that Miz sent her to Raw. She says, quote, "What is wrong with you? You're ruining people's lives." And Miz says, "Well, you're winning now. You should be thanking us." She was like, "Nah, I guess I am winning." So Miz says, "Dana, do you really want Mandy for your partner since Mandy and her last partner split up?" Mandy says yes, or Dana says yes. They plug the dual-branded Battle Royal here on this draft show, and they agree that the best woman will win. Natty and Lana come out. They have a catty argument. Fight breaks out. It was awful. And they go to commercial. They come back, and Miz TV is still going on. Miz is now interviewing John Morrison. Out comes Lars Sullivan. For the second straight show, he destroys both of these guys right before they send Lars Sullivan to SmackDown, so this feud goes nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
What in God's name was the point of that?
Well, you knew that Lars Sullivan's feud's not going to be with Miz and Morrison. They're just there to get destroyed.
Dude, he beat him up on Friday and he beat him up on Monday. I thought maybe he's going to pin one of them in a match or both, and then we could do a handicap match and just repeat our booking from earlier this year. But no, two shows worth of angles, and now he's going to the other show.
He's going to go. I wonder who he's going to go against, because the Jeff Hardy thing is going to be blown off.
Sure, it could have been The Miz
on Friday. They weren't going to waste. They weren't going to do that. No one would buy that. They'd have to do a 20-second match. So who did they got? They didn't even send Dabakato over there. Okay, Strowman's gone.
Dude, he's just going to squash people for a while. I don't think they have decided for an opponent yet.
But there's got to be a destination. I guess maybe.
Dave, are you serious? You think they got a destination? Come on.
I mean, it's Strowman in a year, but not yet.
Dude, they announced on this show that Ali was going to do a big interview and he was going to talk about Retribution.
And then he forgot.
And they didn't even do it. So if you think there's like a direction for Lars Sullivan.
Yeah, there is. Braun Strowman in a year.
On. In a year?
I already know that. I told you that last week.
Dave, I'll bet you $50 that never happens.
Well, they'll probably forget.
Yes,
this week.
Exactly.
But there is a direction. They just there's always a direction. Just Vince wakes up and changes the direction. You know how that goes.
Well, in my opinion, that doesn't count as having a direction.
Well, then nothing has a direction because Vince is going to change his mind constantly.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
All right.
That is absolutely correct what you just said right there.
All right. They have a.
It's just a series of things that happens every Monday and every Friday. And then the next Monday and Friday, another series of things happens. And then the next Monday and Friday, another series of things happen. And it just goes on forever.
Well, Ollie will do the speech at some point. I don't know if it'll be next week, but someday he's going to do the speech and explain why he's with Retribution.
Dude, this is like you saying that the Observer is going to be on time Thursday, Dave.
Well, it will be. It always is. I've only missed once, and I told you that one in ahead of time. I never miss. Even though it kills me sometimes, but I didn't even miss last week when they had they sprung that lawsuit on me first thing Thursday morning.
I mean, it's when you say it's going to be an easy day.
Well, it's never going to be an easy day.
Yes.
That's true. It will never be an easy day because there's always going to be something on a Thursday. I already know that.
Adam Pearce meets with the Street Profits. This is when they switch the belts back and forth. And then Rude and Ziggler walk up and challenge New Day for later. So Steph then announces tonight there's a title match. It's the New Day versus Ziggler and Rude. And if Ziggler and Rude win, they take the belts to SmackDown.
Yeah, sure.
You're in charge? What kind of a decision is that? So
if they win, they take the belts to SmackDown. Makes sense. There's title match.
Raw drafts Retribution, which is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. SmackDown takes Lars Sullivan, Raw Keith Lee, SmackDown King Corbin, and Raw gets Alexa Bliss, who was not a package deal with The Fiend, apparently.
But she is.
Yes.
She wasn't in the draft, but she is. That's why they went on the same show.
And then SmackDown superstar Seth Rollins comes out here on Raw. He's doing this promo. Jeff Hardy interrupts, and Seth tells him to bail, and Jeff says, well, you're the SmackDown guy. I'm the Raw guy. You get out of here. So he goes to leave, and then out comes AJ Styles, and he tells Rollins, get to stepping. You were never Monday Night Rollins anyway. So Rollins is upset. He comes back. They're screaming at each other. Jeff attacks them both. He wants a triple threat tag team match tonight. So they have a three-way, and it's a lot of fun, and everybody gets a chance to shine. There's dives, there's big spots, everybody hits all their moves. And then all of a sudden, Elias just hits the ring, and he waffles Jeff Hardy with his guitar, and Jeff Hardy is dead, and it's a DQ, and
it's not a DQ.
Shitty finish.
AJ pinned him.
Oh, I guess AJ did pin him, you're right.
It wasn't a DQ.
Yeah, it should have been a DQ.
Because I was thinking like you did it right in front of the referee, but they don't do DQs in three ways, which makes no sense, but that's their rules.
Well, there you go. That is, in fact, what happened. So, yeah, they pinned the guy who's on the brand as opposed to pinning the guy who's leaving the territory.
Okay, but this is a specific case. This is to set up a feud within the thing. So it actually made, if Elias was going to come in, it made no sense for him to hit Seth Rollins with a chair. He's not feuding with him. He's feuding with the guitar. He's feuding with Jeff Hardy. So that one actually made sense. I mean, there's a rule, but no rule should be hard and fast. In this case, it was the smarter thing to do was to beat Jeff Hardy because you're starting the feud there. Not that should be a good feud because that makes no sense because Elias is blaming Jeff Hardy.
I was going to say, I like how we're talking about making sense when the storyline is that Elias is mad at Jeff for running him over when we already know that he didn't. Which Elias even acknowledges later.
Did he? What did he say? He said he heard the story, but he didn't believe the story about the red-haired guy.
Yes, but then he moved on. I think
he said he didn't believe it. So he's like the flat earthers who just still believe like the earth is flat, even though like all the evidence is like contradicting. So Elias is like a flat Jeff Hardy, whatever. Like he believes, you know what I mean? He like believes that Jeff Hardy did it, even though like obviously like you'd have to be a fool to do that, but he's a fool.
Raw gets Elias, the Fool. SmackDown gets Sami Zayn. Raw gets Lacey. SmackDown gets Cesaro Nakamura.
So Raw's getting Lacey. Now, is she going to be like a big star this time?
Didn't look that way in the main event tonight.
Yeah. Well, she was there at the end.
We had Mandy and Dana versus Natty and Lana in a gymnastics exhibition.
Is that what it was?
Spinning head scissors, spinning arm drag, double cartwheels, jumping and rolling, and then finally Dana hits a flip off Mandy's shoulders onto Lana and gets the pin. So I wrote at the time that Lana at least escaped being put through a table this week, but I was wrong.
But she didn't.
She didn't. Natty then yells at Lana. She says, "This is not working. It's over. I'm done." She walks out on her.
Because she's heading to SmackDown. Lana
weeps in the ring.
Well, she was going to end up weeping anyway as soon as that draft pick was announced.
So we got a Hurt Business promo.
Okay, so are they... Okay, this is an interesting question now. Well, you don't know about this stuff, but Lana and Natalya in real life do all that social media stuff together. I
know about that.
Okay, well, they do. So are they not allowed to do it because they're on separate brands?
I'm sure they'll still do it.
Okay. But you're not supposed to see each other. We've established that.
They're not supposed to see a significant other, but you can see friends.
Did they establish that?
I'm sure they will when they do their first TikTok.
Well, they probably will, yeah. I don't think they ban her from TikTok. Although they're trying to, aren't they? They're trying to ban everyone from doing those things anyway. By the way, don't you think that was so cool when Forbes was talking about like how, great it is with all the social media, how they push social media and everything, and they're trying to take control of everyone's social media? It's unbelievable. That Forbes thing with Stephanie McMahon has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's like they applaud her for all of these things that the company does terrible. It's like next thing they'll probably applaud them for is like their, whatever. I don't know. What else do they do? Like, I guess maybe their storylines that make sense.
Yeah, they'll talk about their great storytelling.
Yeah, their storytelling ability that makes sense week in and week out. And think of how hard that is with all that television.
Speaking of, Ricochet shows up for the Hurt Business interview, and he says, "I want one last match." MB says, "You're going to retire?" Ricochet says, "No, but I have this feeling Apollo might get drafted, and Cedric is with you guys. I might be here all by himself, so I want one last match. If I win, we go our separate ways. If I lose, I will join the Hurt Business." Cedric says, "I'll take this match."
So Cedric is back.
Yes.
So Cedric is back from, what was he at, like boot camp or something?
He was at Hurt Business boot camp. Yes.
So that's good to know.
So after all of these months, we have Angel Garza versus Andrade with Zelina on commentary. They go like 2 minutes, and Angel hits the wing clipper, and he pins him.
Yeah.
And the lights go out, the Fiend's music plays, Alexa's in the ring, the Fiend shows up, and Andrade and Zelina get laid out with twin sister Abigails, and they are left laying. I could have sworn they said that Alexa was going to be facing Zelina later tonight, and then it never happened. Was I imagining that?
I don't remember, but I don't think so. I think I would remember if they said that. Maybe like that they thought in the Battle Royal. But
that
was
might have been it.
Yeah.
Stephanie announces Raw gets Nikki, SmackDown gets Ziggler and Rude, Raw gets Truth in the 24/7 title, SmackDown Apollo, and Raw gets Dabba-Kato. So then, yes, we had New Day versus Ziggler and Rude for the tag team titles, and it's another pretty good match.
It's a good match.
Ziggler and Xavier did some good grappling and good hot tag, big four-way, and finally Kofi gets a blind tag, boots Rude, they hit the midnight hour, they retain the titles. And the bad news is that now that the New Day has beaten Ziggler and Rude, I think we got like one tag team left on Raw. So we'll have to figure out what to do with that.
Who are they? I have to look up the charts.
It's like Nakamura and Cesaro. They moved over.
They did?
I think so. Didn't they go to Raw?
I
could have sworn
I think they did.
I think they
did. Check it out. I think they did.
Let's see here.
Nakamura and Cesaro were like traded for Rude and Ziggler, right?
Let's see. Where's Nakamura and Cesaro at? Oh no, SmackDown does have Nakamura and Cesaro. Jesus.
Fuck, they got no tag teams. SmackDown wants everything. You know the mentality, right? It's like...
Hold on a second. I gotta see if there's any tag teams on this show. Okay, there's the Hurt Business.
Yeah, so they can be a team.
There's Miz and Morrison.
Oh, yeah, they're the ones that were traded, right? Yeah.
And Metalik and Lindsay. Those are the only tag teams on Raw.
So Metalik and Lindsay are not going to be contenders, although they might throw them in there. But so we're going to get to see Miz and Morrison against New Day like 100 times now?
Either that or like MVP and Shelton or something for another 8 months now that they got rid of Ricochet.
I wonder what Ricochet does now that he can't wrestle the only guys he wrestles.
It's a good question.
He could feud with the Hurt Business. I mean, the Retribution.
Could do 4 months with Retribution, that's true.
Yeah. They need something, too.
So Elias does this promo and talks about how Jeff ran him over, and Charlie says, as far as we know, Jeff didn't do anything. The guilty party is still at large. So she doesn't know what happened either. Elias says, I don't care, I'm going to still beat up Jeff Hardy. Then he says, on October 26th, Universal Truth, my new album, is going to be available, and I will do a concert next week. So then after this literally started in the first week of July. It is now the middle of October. And after all that time, the big blow-off to Ricochet and Apollo and Cedric against the Hurt Business is Cedric joins, Apollo gets drafted to SmackDown, and Ricochet has one last match with Cedric. And literally they do the Eddie Guerrero. Ricochet throws the chair to Cedric. He takes a bump. The ref turns around. He disqualifies Cedric. Ricochet is announced the winner. And technically, Ricochet is the winner and this feud is over and we will not see it again.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they killed this off?
Yes.
Ricochet couldn't even pin one member of the Hurt Business to end this feud.
No, because he only lost like 100 times.
Wow. I'm glad I devoted 4 months of my life to this feud for this to be the payoff at the end.
Other companies make sense, so it's okay. These guys aren't just. These guys just won't. That's you. If you haven't figured that out, that's how it's going to be. Look at who you got. You got Vince McMahon in charge, who changes his mind every hour. You got Bruce Pritchard, who's like another guy who's from another era. Actually, you know what though? If he's from another era, he actually should know how to make sense.
I was going to say
that doesn't even make sense. But he's not. But he's going to kiss Vince's ass, so it doesn't matter. And that's it. And besides, it's Vince's ball game. It doesn't matter. Whatever Vince says goes. That's just how it is.
Well, anyway, that was the shittiest ending to a feud I ever saw. And I saw the end of that love triangle with Kurt Angle, Stephanie, and Triple H.
Well, I do think that the ending of the breakup of the Lucha House Party was worse.
Yeah, but dude, that was something I had to watch for like 4 weeks or whatever, and it was barely ever featured. These guys run every single show since July 3rd doing this feud.
Yeah, the same thing every week. They just beat them every single week. I thought the feud was over like by the third week, but they just kept going back to it. So
Stephanie announces Raw gets Titus O'Neil. I love Titus O'Neil, but dude, you drafted him before Peyton, Aleister Black, Carmella, Tozawa.
I don't care about any of them. The only one I care about is Aleister Black and that whole group.
Well, he got drafted, let's see, it was Titus, then Carmella, then Peyton, then Aleister.
Yeah, well, so much for Peyton's singles push.
And then we finally, in the main event of Raw this week, everybody, an inter-brand women's battle royal to determine the number one contender for Asuka's title. So, Nia tosses Tamina, Nia tosses Billy, Nia tosses Mandy and Dana. All the women that attack Nia, Shayna runs up, gives the final shove, eliminates her own partner. Lana goes outside, she attacks Nia, and no shit for the fourth straight week, Nia puts Lana through the table, Lana's dead. They cut backstage, and Orton and Drew are brawling, and they brawl all over the place through the commercial break. We come back, Peyton's already gone. Lacey tosses Nikki, Bianca tosses Shayna, Riot Squad tosses Bianca Belair. In what universe did Bianca Belair not win this match, but Lana did? Well, the answer to the WWE universe.
Well, it's for one thing, Bianca's going to their brand. For the other thing, I don't think
it's an inter-brand battle royal.
Yeah, but she's going to the other brand. She wasn't going to get a title shot.
What are you talking about? We got people on the other brand getting a shot on Friday.
Yeah, but they weren't going to do it. So they were just trying to have fun because they've been burying Lana and they just want to go to everybody and go like, look, we're not really burying her. We're giving her a title match that she's going to get buried in again.
Well, the end of this match is Natty and Lacey. And at some point in here, Lacey knocked out one of Natty's teeth. And I watched it over and over trying to figure out when this happened. I cannot figure it out. But they try to do this bulldog spot. And I presume that Lacey messed it up because, like, nothing happened. Lacey didn't end up doing the bulldog or spinning or anything. And so they end up on the ground, and Natty turns around, and she just slaps her so hard in the face. And she calls her a bitch, and she slaps her, and she's pummeling her. And then Lacey fights back. It was the craziest thing. And they end up on the apron, and then finally, Natty ends up helicoptering her into the post. Lacey falls on the ground. She's dead. Everyone thinks Natty has won, but then Lana slides back in the ring. She eliminates her old partner. Lana is the number one contender after being put through a table 4 straight weeks and losing a tag match on this show and being put through a table here again in the middle of a battle royal and sitting out half the match. But damn it, she's the number one contender.
They're trying to show you that they're not burying her, even though they are.
Why do you have to show me that? If you like, just bury her if you want to. Why do you have to try to convince me you're not, even though it's obvious you are?
Because
how dumb do you think I am?
Because Rusev said bad things about them, and they are not thin-skinned.
But they are. I can see with my own eyes.
No, she won the Battle Royal.
Bro, do you think she's beating Asuka?
Fuck no.
How are they going to get out of that one then?
She's going to lose. I hope. I mean, I don't say I hope. I don't really care, but I'm just saying.
I care. She better lose.
God, her as champion instead of Asuka? Oh, my God.
And then Drew and Orton brawl again.
I would be shocked if that happens, but I mean, I don't get shocked at much of anything, but you know, when it comes to that.
You were shocked about something when we started making a list for the show, Dave. You want to know what it is? You were shocked by the fact that this coming Wednesday, there is an AEW anniversary show. Well, let's talk about this Raw show here, the Doom of Retribution and more.
Yeah, boy, I don't even know what to say about the show. They got a pay-per-view in 5 days. We know 3 matches. They absolutely built up one of them. They did do an angle for a second one, which was Jeff Hardy and Elias, that did absolutely nothing to make me interested in it, but they did, in fact, do something to build it up. And so it's like your go-home show, you think you're going to be hitting all these pay-per-view angles and stuff, and it was just like, didn't it feel just like 3 hours of filler for the most part? And then that
well, it was, but I mean, technically we have 4 matches because they announced Elias and Jeff Hardy.
Right, yeah, but on the Raw show, but they didn't even like push any matches other than they did the angle for Jeff Hardy and Elias and the what was it, then the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton match. So it's just like they did an angle at the very end, which was with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, which is the normal thing. That was actually kind of a cute ending, but I'm just watching this show and it's like, it's fine, but it just like felt like, you've got something big coming up and it's like it felt like a total filler show with matches just thrown together and angles and, like finishes, but not really finishes. Like a guy will beat a guy, but then they'll just try to like not really act like he really lost and trying to pretend that like we're actually protecting him and when they really didn't protect him at all type of stuff. I mean, they did that in almost every match. So, or not every match, but did it in most of the matches. And it was just like, okay. I mean, like it's over and like, it's kind of like the whole show was a blur other than, they ended with, Drew McIntyre, using bolt cutters to, get in the cell with Randy Orton, who thought that he couldn't get in. And the show went off the air right as he got in.
Well, the show opens up with the announcers talking about what's coming in, and the Fiend's music plays, and Alexa says, he's here. So he appears, but then suddenly Retribution comes out, and it's Slapjack, Reckoning, Mace, and T-Bar, and Mustafa Ali. So there's 5 of them now. And they got new music.
So Martinez is gone, and Mia Yim is still there. But it's weird because, so Mia Yim's there, but Retribution only wrestles guys, so it's like, and she's not allowed to, like, be hit. So it's like she comes out and then she disappears.
I think it's premature to say they only wrestle dudes because they just debuted. I would presume at some point that she will have a match.
Well, I'm sure she will, but she disappeared tonight.
That's right. Well, she can't get hit. So they get surrounded they surround Alexa and The Fiend. The lights go out, they come back on, The Fiend is gone, and now the Hurt Business comes out. So we get the Hurt Business versus Ali, Mace, T-Bar, and Slapjack. This actually has been a storyline before everybody disappeared, but I guess you can go back probably 4 weeks now. So they do the match, unadvertised, in the opening segment on Raw, and Bobby Lashley grabs T-Bar, and he puts him in the full Nelson, and T-Bar taps out.
He taps out. Can you imagine? I mean, it's like, after that, all the work they did to, in the start of this thing, it's like they've already given up, even though they gave lip service after, like they haven't, and they still gave Ali a promo and everything, but it's like, come on. And then the other thing too, as far as that went, it's like, it just felt to me that Retribution is the new Ricochet, Apollo Crews, and Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali group, except now they're just mask guys.
So after he taps out, The Fiend shows up, and he destroys all of Retribution, and he beats them all up, and then The Fiend stares at the Hurt Business and Alexa, and that's it. So they were not only submitted clean, but beaten up afterwards, and every single person involved in this segment was a heel. It's like The Fiend's a heel, Alexa's a heel, Hurt Business are heels, Retribution heels. They're all fighting each other. I have no idea why I'm supposed to care about any of this.
Well, what's interesting, too, is that in the Retribution and Hurt Business match, they took turns in the match playing heel.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, it wasn't as if, like, okay, like Retribution's the baby face or the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business has sort of been the baby face.
The Hurt Business were more baby faces than Retribution, but yes, each side took turns working over the other side.
Yeah. But at the end, I mean, it's like Retribution was certainly completely I mean, it's like Bray Wyatt just goes in there and Uranage's and Sister Abigail's everybody all by himself. And then now, then they come back with an interview where Mustafa Ali is like promising to do this and that, but it's kind of like, man, like it wasn't their debut, but it's like was this their second television match?
I think so. They had that first match, and then
the first match with that terrible DQ finish.
Yes, now this one,
and then this. So it's like they're getting them off. Well, they're not the only ones. It's kind of like everyone's getting off on a good foot. That's new on this show.
So then AJ comes out, and he no longer has Joseph Park. That just dropped off the face of the earth.
They'd kind of dropped that for a while ago. They'd done a couple of things and then just sort of forgot about it.
But he does, in fact, have a new bodyguard. Jordan Amagbahine was the giant bodyguard.
Yeah, the guy who was the
Shane McMahon.
Shane McMahon's doorman is now AJ Styles' bodyguard. And,
dude, he stands behind AJ, and he looks literally 10 feet tall.
He's legitimate 7'3".
He is a very tall dude.
I mean, he's probably, let me think about this. I would say, with the exception of Giant Gonzalez and Giant Silver, right? I would think he's probably about the tallest guy, modern, that there's been, in the last like 40 years. I know Max Palmer was reputed to be, I mean, they used to bill him at 8'2", and I've heard people say he was really 7'6". And, but aside from that, this guy's the tallest guy that I think we've ever had in wrestling. And he's impressive looking in the sense of it's like he's not fat or nothing. You know what I mean? He's like just a big giant guy. I know that from what I've heard from people who watched him is that it's like when he's not that impressive when you watch him wrestle. So it's a tricky thing because exactly like you can do this for a while, but then where do you go? Because in these roles, they usually transition him to the ring, and he's just, for whatever reason, I don't know if he's very slow, and it's from what I was told, and it's just like, it's real impressive him standing there, but in the matches that he's done when he was in NXT, it's not like it was something like where, you know, it's like Andre the Giant where he just goes in there and everything he does gets over. It's kind of like, you know, they try to have him do big man spots, but people don't really go for it that much.
So we have AJ versus Matt Riddle, and the actual wrestling in the match was great, but this was classic. Horrible at the beginning and horrible at the end. It literally starts with the referee saying, we got to ring the bell, but Jordan, you've got to get out of the ring. Jordan says, he shakes his head, I'm not getting out of the ring. So the ref says, if you do not leave this ring in 5 seconds, AJ is disqualified. The ref goes, 1, 2, and suddenly Jordan grabs his hand, and the fucking WWE official, the referee, has to put his hands together and beg, will you please get out of the ring? I'm begging you. Please, sir, just get out of this ring.
Wasn't that just horrible?
I'm like, what?
That was terrible.
That was the dumbest thing I ever saw. The guy finally leaves the ring.
Any worse than the selling Matt Riddle had to do for him?
Well, we'll get to that. So the guy finally leaves the ring. They ring the bell. So the match is going out all right. And then finally, Riddle tosses AJ outside. He gets on the apron. He's about to go for a dive. And Jordan looks at him. And Matt Riddle takes a bump in fear and has to scurry out of the way.
It's like, what a baby face, huh?
Jesus. So then they wrestle, and the actual wrestling is great. But then, at the end, Riddle's making his big comeback. He falls outside, and Jordan makes a fist. That's all he does. He makes a fist. Riddle is so scared that he leaps back into the ring, and AJ immediately hits a Styles Clash and pins him.
Pele kick and then the Style Clash.
It doesn't matter. This was fucking ridiculous. I mean, can you just let these two guys go in there and have a great match? Do you have to muddy it up with a bunch of bullshit that makes the whole thing suck?
It's not even that. It's like,
no, it is that. Well, they are such good wrestlers, and they had to fuck it up with a bunch of shit.
But more than that, more than just the match, they fucked up Riddle. Matt Riddle is a legit UFC fighter, and he had to act like a frickin' baby. You know,
well, I mean, they fucked him up from day 2. I mean, he had a good day 1, but that was literally it.
Yeah.
So I'm used to this by now.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, I don't know. It's like they don't know how to get baby faces over, and this was another example of it. It's like your baby face should. I mean, it's like I can get like certain things that you do, like maybe Matt Riddle could like, you know, do something to him, and the guy sells it, and he can kind of get freaked out, but he shouldn't be acting like a scared child. You know, that was like over the line, and it's like. Here's the other thing. It's like, because of just exactly what I said, Matt Riddle, in theory, should have some upside. And if he doesn't, why even bother with him, honestly? And Jordan, you know, it's like, I mean, you'd like to think he's got upside, but, I mean, he didn't get over in NXT, and they've made him if anything, you know, I mean, the problem with him is they don't want to expose. They didn't want to expose him. They didn't want anyone seeing him and seeing that he wasn't that good on television before debuting on the main roster. But if the guy, it's like you can if you can't draw money, if that's the goal, or be like this thing, if you can't do anything in the long run. I mean, maybe for a couple of weeks, people go, "Oh my God, there's this freaking giant guy," and I'm sure that's the idea here. It's like. People are going to tell their friends, did you see that giant guy? I suppose, but like it's a different era. It's just a different era. You know, it's like the NBA is filled with giant guys. You know what I mean? And we see them every week. And to be a giant guy, to get over, you got to be fierce, and you got to be aggressive, and you got to be able to work a style that makes you look, whatever, you know what I mean? But even with Andre, you never had you had heels back off from Andre, of course, but you never had a top baby face if he was put against Andre, quiver or whatever, like Matt Riddle did. And this guy ain't Andre. So, but, again, it's what it is. And, as every year goes, Vince goes another year behind, because, that's, I don't want to say that's what happens when you get older, because it doesn't happen to everyone, but it does happen to a lot of people, and it's happening to Vince.
Charlie's with Drew. He does his usual gimmick of taking the mic away from her, and he cuts a promo on Randy, and basically just says, I'm going to beat you on Sunday. I hear you're going to be out there later on tonight for a talk, and I will see you there. Top babyface Lana faced Asuka for the Raw Women's title. I think they got like 2 minutes.
2 minutes, Asuka lock, yeah. And the only deal there was just to put her through the table again, because in their minds, when they put her through the table, she gets over.
Wow. Well, for the 5th straight week, Nia clears the announce table. She puts Lana through it after the match. I actually thought that Asuka might make the save, but instead she just left. So this led to Nia and Shayna doing a promo. And of course, they don't like each other. And they're talking about how dominant they are one way or the other. And they say that anybody from Raw and SmackDown, if you want to challenge, just come out now. So Mandy and Dana come out. Lacey Evans and her new partner, Peyton Royce, come out.
Well, they were it felt like they just needed a way to get them on television, because I thought it was pretty clear in the match that they're really not going to be a team, unless they're going to be a team that doesn't get along.
Well,
because they did everything to look like they weren't a team.
And the Riot Squad. So we got Riot Squad.
The Riot Squad from SmackDown. So that lasted a long time.
They are on SmackDown now.
Yeah, they got moved to SmackDown.
Right. How about that? Yeah.
They said it on the air. They go like, they're on SmackDown. And it's not even the quarterly whatever thing. It's just another week, so they can still be here. So I guess there's it hasn't started yet. Even though it was already last week, it hasn't started yet.
So we got the Riot Squad, Dana and Mandy, Lacey and Peyton, Nia and Shayna. And
this was not a good match.
There's a big train wreck spot. There was a lot of action, but
wasn't a good match.
Nia got a hot tag, crushed Lacey with the Samoan drop. So yes, there was a 4-way non-title match. The champions won
dominantly,
and we have no challengers.
Well, hopefully we'll get some challengers. Maybe it'll be Lana and Asuka. I actually thought that when they finished that match that was the direction they were going, but they're not there yet. I don't know. They gotta. I don't know. Are there any teams left? I guess Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke's going to be the team, right?
Well, maybe they should have won tonight then.
Well, at least they didn't beat them.
Well, they didn't beat them, but so they recapped. Jeff Hardy.
But you know what? Okay, so here's the thing. It was non-title, all right, and it was a 4-way. So Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke could have beaten Peyton Royce or Ruby Riott or somebody.
Yes.
And it could have at least led to something. And it's not like Nia Jax didn't already put Lana through a table, so it's not like they didn't book them strong already, and they could lose the match without either of them being pinned, and they're still, unbeatable champions. But you build another team up. You could have done that, but they didn't.
So they recap the Jeff Hardy car accident angle, the culprit allegedly still at large, and then Elias comes out, and he's going to do a concert. He screws up the name of his own album. It comes out next week. He proceeds to play a legitimate concert, full band, backup singers, the whole 9 yards. Plays his whole song. The fans on the Thunderdome, they've got lighters. They're cheering. And then when it ends, he says, "Well, I still hate all of you." And he goes to leave, and then he says, I'm going to do an encore. He comes out for an encore, and the guitar player goes into business for himself. Elias starts yelling at him, and of course, the guitar player is Jeff Hardy. and he embarrasses Elias, and this leads to their match at Hell in a Cell.
I can't wait.
Yeah, 4 matches now.
Yeah, I wonder, did he have surgery? Because I saw an interview with him.
Who, Elias?
Yeah.
Well, he had an injury of some sort.
Well, no, he tore his pec. I know that.
Yes.
But he said maybe because he said that like he feels strong, but his pec will never look the same. So maybe they couldn't fully, put it back together and have it look cosmetically the same. But he's wearing a shirt all the time now. But I mean, it was interesting that that's what he said in that interview. And he also brought up that at last year's WrestleMania, it's always reported at the time, but he confirmed it that it was John Cena against Elias. That was the match. And then when Bray Wyatt got bumped from the match with Roman Reigns because they changed their mind on the Bill Goldberg finish, that because John Cena was already booked on the show. And they didn't want to not book Bray Wyatt. They moved Bray Wyatt with John Cena, and he was the odd man out.
We have Miz and Morrison backstage. The court case story is ongoing. Tucker walks up and says, "You guys are trying to ruin Otis's life. I'm going to find a partner tonight," he says, "and we will ruin your lives in a tag team match." And Miz and Morrison laugh. They presume that Tucker doesn't have anybody, and so they accept the match. New Day comes out, and they do this big, long promo. Sheamus interrupts. They're bantering back and forth, and long story short, Sheamus ends up facing Kofi, and they had a good match. They worked hard, had a lot of time. Big E's on the big screen watching. It was actually clever because Kofi's getting beaten on, and Sheamus puts him in this hold, and all of a sudden Wood screams, "Big E, he's here!" And he points to the screen, and there's Big E, no shirt on, screaming on the Thunderdome screen, and this fires up Kofi, and he makes his big comeback, and they did a bunch of near falls, and finally Kofi had the Trouble in Paradise, got the clean pin, and that was that. This was like the only match of any value on this show, if I recall correctly.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, the only one that really was given any time or anything like that. It was pretty good. It was nothing. It was good. It was a good match. There was a couple spots that were kind of sloppy, but overall, I mean, it was easily the best thing on the show. Yeah, as far as wrestling went.
Retribution promo backstage where Ali reveals that, in fact, if I have a laptop, a cell phone, and a secret, I can cause anyone in this company's world to come crumbling down. I was the hacker on SmackDown. I want the world to know that this sick place is infecting everybody with greed and corruption, and our truth will be heard.
He's bitter because the people in charge of the company did not have any idea or willingness to push a guy named Mustafa Ali. So that was what he's mad about. And did he explain why the other people were mad?
I think they just agree with him.
Okay. I think that
maybe they're institutional investors, and they're like, "God damn, he's right. This fucking company."
I think maybe they were like overlooked in NXT or something.
Except they weren't.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean,
they're all on the main roster now. They were, everything's fine. Now that they can do anything, they don't do anything.
Yeah, that's true. Titus met with the Hurt Business. He wants to join. MVP says, "You're a fine, upstanding individual. You dress well. Let me talk to my guys." Turns around, turns back, says, "All right, we talked. We're in business." And Titus is so happy, and then MVP says, "No, we are in business." And they beat up Titus O'Neil, and they kick his ass. Imagine not wanting Titus in your crew. I can't even imagine that.
Such a nice guy, huh?
Yeah. He can be in my crew.
He dresses good. He talks good. Yeah, be in your corner, do promos for you. Didn't you say he wanted to do public relations for him?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, sure.
These guys are out to lunch. They want this fucking Ricochet who can't win a match to save his life. And they turned down Titus O'Neil.
Ricochet wasn't even there today, was he?
Nope.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of momentum going right now, too.
Miz and Morrison come out. They want to know who the partner is, and Tucker introduces El Gran Gordo, who, of course, is Otis under a mask. The Great Fat, I believe his name is. Miz says, that's Otis in a mask. And Gordo says, no. And anyway, Miz says, cuts his big promo. Otis doesn't deserve the contract. He's a joke. He's making a joke out of Money in the Bank. I turned my career around with Money in the Bank. You're just making a mockery of it. Goes on for hours. Finally, we get the match. It's Otis and Tucker versus Miz and Morrison. So much for the draft. Otis gets a hot tag in his pink spandex and cape. Actually did a jumping arm drag off the middle rope, which made this whole thing worthwhile. Big cartwheel, and then Truth runs down. He's being chased by the Geeks. He runs in the ring.
So it was
We really need to recap who the Geeks were chasing them.
Drew Gulak, Akira Tozawa, and wasn't it like Lucha House Party?
Yes, because they were distracted by the Luchador. That was the comedy.
Right. Yeah.
So Miz is distracted. Gordo hits the big splash. He hits the worm. Vader bomb. 1, 2, 3.
Yep, that was the match.
Wow.
Well, it's furthering the storyline, or dragging the storyline.
Furthering a storyline that's supposed to be on. They're supposed to be on different brands. Why didn't they just draft him to this brand? If they suddenly figured out, how do we continue this if he's on the other fucking brand? We drafted him.
I guess because they had to figure out a way out of Otis and Mandy, although they still kind of...
They continue that on this show.
Yeah, but that's probably only going to be this week, unless he's going to be a regular as a masked luchador on this show every week, which would be somebody's idea of comedy, I guess.
Firefly Funhouse, there was literally nothing to this. Alexis showed up, and that was it. So if you waited 2.5 hours for that, everybody, I don't know what to tell you. Braun Strowman, Keith Lee.
Well, he said that we're going to have all these new friends, because we're on a new brand, and then the rabbit got eaten by the buzzer. The rabbit's been eaten like 15 times already?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, they went like 3 minutes, and Keith worked over
and it wasn't ribs. Good. So the thing on this one, so Braun Strowman, this is unbelievable, just unbelievable. Braun Strowman is the heel in the match, right? Is he not the heel?
As far as I know.
Okay, so he's the heel. So he comes in injured from the match with Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns hit him with a chair. So he's holding his ribs, the heel, and it's Keith Lee, and Keith Lee is fine, healthy, and loses, right?
Yes, they went 3 minutes, and Braun started to get up off the ground when Keith went for the powerbomb. He just drops to his belly, and so he's too heavy, and Keith can't lift him. And then when he goes to get to his feet, he headbutts Keith in the groin, right in front of the ref, which is not a DQ. Keith grabs his balls, and then Braun Strowman hits him with a big boot and pins him. And then they give Keith Lee... He attacks Braun after the match, and he's upset that he got hit in the balls.
Well, he gave Braun a low blow after the match, so he got his retribution, so to speak.
Maybe he can be in retribution. I mean, he'd be in the same boat.
Yeah, pretty much. God, this between Keith Lee and Matt Riddle, what can I say? I mean, it's just,
Whatever Mercedes did to get sent back, they need to figure that out.
Yeah, really.
Maybe she got some sort of coupon.
Yeah, but Lars they are booking strong.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's like I don't know of the three. Well, Lars was the pick.
You know what? It ain't hard to book a guy like Lars when you're Vince McMahon. One would think it would be just as easy to book Keith Lee when you're Vince McMahon, but for some fucking reason he can't figure out how to book Keith Lee, giant dude.
You could Matt Riddle, a guy with natural charisma.
Well, Matt Riddle, I can see him fucking up a lot easier because he's not the size of Keith Lee. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, Dave. He doesn't wear shoes.
Well, the shoes don't.
He's got these goofy interviews.
Okay, wait a minute.
He's got to do interviews about his feet.
Okay,
I mean, come on. I can see him screwing that one up.
Yeah, but okay. One of the greatest baby faces Vince ever had when he was younger was a dude with long hair, good physique, and never wore shoes. Jimmy Snuka.
Dude, Jimmy Snuka was 50 pounds heavier than Matt Riddle.
No, he wasn't.
If Matt Riddle had the physique...
Jimmy Snuka was 235, Matt Riddle's 215.
Dude, Dave, listen to me.
The only difference is Matt Riddle's 6'2". Matt Riddle's 6'2" and Jimmy Snuka's 5'10".
You look at these guys' physiques, okay?
Oh, if Matt Riddle took steroids, he'd have the same physique as Jimmy Snuka. Well,
that's the point. He doesn't. And so Vince looks at this guy, and he does not see Superfly Jimmy Snuka with his gigantic physique.
Okay, but the guy's got a freaking he's a freaking Von Erich, was in 1984. That's all Vince wanted was the Von Erich.
Dave did a lot with the Von Erich when he got him.
Yeah, well, he was washed up at that point. This is a big difference. When he in 1984, he wanted the whole family.
Von Erich when he came in was worlds better than the Ultimate Warrior. He still didn't do anything with him
because he didn't get over. Because he had half a foot and couldn't work anymore.
Well, maybe Vince looks at Matt Riddle and has decided he can't get over.
Maybe that's possible. I mean, whatever it is, he certainly isn't doing anything with him.
So then we got this main event segment here. It's Randy Orton coming out, and I thought this was so easy. Randy Orton gets in the ring and he says, "Before I say anything, I want you to lower the cage." I thought, okay, well, clearly he's going to do his promo, and then Drew's going to come out from under the ring, and Randy's going to be stuck in the cage.
That's what I thought, too.
Drew's going to beat his ass.
I thought for sure he's under the ring. Yep.
So instead, Randy comes out and he does his promo. This is the 8th Hell in a Cell match that he's had, he says. I couldn't even believe it, but then he rattles off every name. Mark Henry, Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, Daniel Bryan, John Cena twice, and The Undertaker. So he was telling the truth. So he cuts his promo, and then all of a sudden, Drew just walks down the aisle. And Randy says, "Get in here." And Drew can't get in because he's in Hell in a Cell.
Because he locked it when he got in the cage. He locked the door behind him.
Yeah, so Randy's saying, "Come get me," and so Drew says, "All right, I'll come get you." And he reaches over and he produces a giant pair of bolt cutters. He literally cuts the door open. They literally killed the gimmick of Hell in a Cell, and then as soon as he got the door open, they went off the air. So they didn't even pay it off that he just got into the cell. So I couldn't even figure out, why did you kill the gimmick of Hell in a Cell? Just lower the cage and have Drew appear in the cage, and Randy is trapped because it's Hell in a Cell and he can't get out, and the show goes off the air as he's getting beaten. Then you actually sell the Hell in a Cell concept. Instead, they do the opposite, which is, oh, it's Hell in a Cell, but dude, I got these giant bolt cutters, I cut my way in, and now I'm inside the cage. Oh, and now the show goes off the air.
Yep. You're right. 100%. 100%. I couldn't, they basically exposed the cage 6 days before a show built around the frickin' cage. They basically tell you that, we'll lock the door behind you and anyone can get in because we already know how you get in with frickin' bolt cutters. So that's great.
Dude. Well, that was Raw, everybody, so... Well, let's talk about this Raw show, the follow-up to Hell in a Cell. What did you think?
It was a weekly Raw show, it's obvious that Survivor Series is going to be what it's been. No NXT in Survivor Series this year, unlike last year, which means probably...
Boy, what a redheaded stepchild this brand's turned out to be. Nobody in the draft, nobody called up.
No.
Nobody in Survivor Series after they won last year.
I'll tell you what, I think Vince wants to disown that whole brand because it keeps getting beat. And
wow. Well, there's a solution. That is going another night.
Well, they ain't gonna. I know. Can only give them 200 extra thousand viewers. I did bring that up. To Paul Levesque, and he seemed completely unconcerned. We're just doing fine, is what he said. But there is a solution, but there you go. They're getting killed in 18 to 49s too. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like last week, for the last hour and for those last segments, that last segment last week, the last two segments really, they really. Dude,
the main event title match, 550,000 viewers.
555,000 viewers in one.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah, but the real number's 178. That's terrible.
Yeah, the 178 head-to-head 18 to 49 was
like 178.
Astonishing.
And then the Young Bucks match went head to head was like, what is it? It was like 420, 430.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just ridiculous. Of course that doesn't happen every week, but I mean, they do lose handily in 18 to 49 every single week. That does happen. And there you go. I mean, the one thing that's interesting though is, that the SmackDown number with no competition from another wrestling show was not that far off. If you look at the 4 weeks that NXT ran without AEW head to head, and you average them out, the number is almost the same as what SmackDown does, and that includes 2 weeks where, you can go, well, whatever, but it's not their familiar thing, but the familiar station, which is true. NXT is on its familiar station, but 2 of those 4 weeks were on Tuesday. And I'll tell you what, which would you rather have? The same time slot that you're always in, that people who are creatures of habit are used to watching, or, and granted, AEW didn't lose much, especially in 18 to 49. They were pretty much identical when they got moved, once on a Thursday, and I think they were once on a Saturday. So they maintained, with moving, but generally speaking, you'd rather be on the same day, just on a different station. Granted, again, obviously you're going to go way down from cable to network. That's without saying, but, still, it's like Friday night. Those people are used to it. I would rather be on my night. Now, again, it'd be better to be on Fox. Of course, you're on your own station because it's a more powerful station, but there's still like, it's still like an advantageous thing to be on your own night as compared to people who moved to other nights and still maintained their audience. Again, NXT is hurt by being, head to head. AEW's hurt on purpose, obviously, by being head to head. It's actually, again, it's WWE's call on all this. And it's what they want. And obviously, for obvious reasons, it's what they want. But, they could do, especially like, when you're being judged on 18 to 49, the fact is that NXT would be way up. They'd
be in the top 20, maybe top 15. Instead, they're three of the last 4 weeks are not even in the top 50.
Yeah, I would say they would probably be, between a 0.24 and a 0.26, which would probably get you most nights in the top 20, top 25 for sure. Instead of being in the 50s. But that's, again, the evidence has always, we've always known what the story is, but, at this point in time, it's such a obvious situation that, that's the entire reason that NXT is on television, is to make sure that AEW doesn't hit like a 0.4 or, whatever, a number that's going to be close enough to what Raw and SmackDown do. I mean, they can really, in theory, they should never be anywhere close to SmackDown. Raw, I mean, Raw's got that 27-year edge, and Monday night being the destination night for wrestling. Raw, so they do have that, going for them, and they are the flagship show. And I don't see AEW, if Raw continued to decline at the rate that they declined when they were when they were running the shows out of the Performance Center, at some point, AEW probably would beat them within a year. I don't think that's going to happen now, because we've seen how important location is to the ratings. And, once they got out of the Performance Center, their numbers went up enough. And so I don't know how long it would, again, it'd be a longer time, but they were doing terrible in that Performance Center with all the advantages. But it was when they were in the Performance Center, it really was a dead show. It's a lot better feeling now. I mean, I don't know. The booking's better. The talent's the same, but it's just, better feeling, I guess. There was an article today by Sportico, which was really interesting. Because it was essentially, it's about like networks and sports teams and ownership of sports teams. And obviously in wrestling, that's already happened. WCW was owned by Turner. Sinclair owns Ring of Honor, and Anthem owns Impact. But it was more about the value of ESPN. And if you look back on this in 2016, when UFC was put on sale, that ESPN should have bought them. Of course, ESPN didn't know what the world was going to be like in 2020 and what the rights fees were going to come up on. Because if you think about this, they could have gotten UFC for $4 million, and they're spending $500 million for $4 billion. They're spending $500 million a year on UFC to get the TV rights and to get the pay-per-view rights. And in 8 years, that's $4 billion. So they're spending the $4 billion over 8 years with no ownership whatsoever. And they're going to have to pay more, most likely, unless the world changes and things are different. But most likely, they're going to end up paying more to keep them, or have to bid against whether it's Fox or somebody else for those rights, CBS, NBC, whatever. I think everyone's going to have an interest in a sports company at that point with the way television's going. But if they owned them, they wouldn't have to ever worry about losing them because they would own them, and they don't have to pay rights fees because you already own the property. And so that relates to WWE, and it really is, because WWE rights fees are very, very high, and for the same way, I mean, it really makes sense right now for Fox to buy WWE or NBC Universal, because that way they don't have to bid, whichever one won would get both Raw and SmackDown, and you wouldn't have to bid up every time. You'd own the darn thing. And for the price that, if you're talking about, $470 million a year, I don't know what it would cost to get WWE right now. I mean, in a few years ago, before these rights fees were up, you could have gotten WWE for $4 billion easily. Now, I think it would probably cost a little more. But still, if you're looking at like a 5-year deal between, you're paying $2.35 billion over 5 years. Over 10 years, that's 4.7. And it's going to probably go up as well, in 2024. So you're talking about like probably, if you're a Fox or an NBCU, you get both shows, and everything. You could add shows, you could do whatever, and own the darn thing, and it pays for itself probably in 10, 11 years. It's not like UFC, which would, pay for the old valuation in 8 years now. And now it would be more. You couldn't get UFC for $4 billion anymore either. But you could probably get it in 10, for over 10 years. And then you got it for life. And in the long run, I mean, think of all the money that you save not having to pay rights fees after you own the thing. Plus, like, you can make you'll make the pay-per-view money. You'll make the network money. You'll make the international rights fees money. You'll make the house show money. I mean, it's actually, I feel like it's the obvious future for both, because as companies, UFC and WWE are extremely similar. Their sizes, their gross revenues are very similar. Obviously WWE does more television viewers, but UFC is obviously a more valuable pay-per-view, big show property. And, it's got the prestige of being sports, which WWE doesn't have. But again, they're both real valuable. And even AEW, wouldn't be as valuable as those two, but I think AEW is more valuable than Bellator, and Bellator is owned by Paramount. Now, I don't think that deal has been nearly as successful because, Bellator's just, it's just not that popular right now. When they bought, I remember talking to Kevin Kay when they bought the thing, and he laid the whole thing out for me then, and he was ahead of his time, except he had the wrong property. They should have, if I tell you what, if some television station instead of Endeavor really should have gone in 2016 when UFC went for sale, and ESPN would probably have been the one, or Turner, one of them, and just. And I know they both had interest in it, but they both, when it got to near $4 billion, that's when they backed off. But in hindsight, I think that ESPN would have gotten quite the bargain had they bought that thing for $4 billion in 2016, because they're going to be paying them if they get one more contract, they'll end up paying well over $4 billion, and they won't even have any ownership rights at all, and they'll have to keep bidding for them every single 4 years, 5 years, however the length of the deal. This deal's 7 years, so it's actually, you're doing that at $500 million. That's $3.5 billion right there, practically. I mean, the first couple of years they didn't have to pay the first $200 million, but still, so it's like, anyway, that's something for. I think that might be the future for UFC and WWE, because it just feels like it's too obvious a call. Rather than paying all those rights fees numbers, you could just buy the whole thing, and it pays for itself over whatever it is, over 8 years, 10 years, 12 years.
So the show opens up with Drew coming out for his promo after losing the title. And he is interrupted by, of all people, in the year 2020, The Miz, who has the Money in the Bank briefcase. And the last time he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, it was 2010, 10 years ago. And the champion at the time was Randy Orton, 10 years ago. So,
yeah,
much has changed.
It's not, that's not necessarily terrible, but it kind of...
We're where we were 10 years ago.
Well, not exactly, but we are in a situation where they have not really evolved much, yeah, especially when it comes to stars. And, we're looking at, the big match. Well, I mean, if they do Roman Reigns and Rock at WrestleMania, that's a pretty damn big match, even though, The Rock is old. But, the other one that, again, right now, the other one, barring changes, is Randy Orton and Edge. And... that goes back a lot more than 10 years than, so there you go.
So Miz and Morrison are jaw-jacking, and Drew headbutts him, kills John Morrison, and they announce McIntyre versus Miz for later. So the point of this show is to build up matches for Survivor Series. And
the Survivor Series is the only night in the year.
I told you they were going to do this, and you laughed.
I know. It's because they do it. They've done it every single week on television. Like every single television show you have this. And somehow this is still the only night of the year where this happens. Well, by the way, after that big Tucker turn, it's like I was really curious, like, okay, so now he's turned heel. What are they going to do with him? And the answer is they got no idea.
No, the answer is they drafted him back to SmackDown.
Was he drafted back to SmackDown?
He's been sent back to SmackDown.
I didn't even hear that.
Apparently they figured out, shit, they're on separate brands.
Well, thank God. That at least makes sense. Because when they did that thing the other day, it was like, you just set up a... So they've already, sent a guy back after, 1 week?
Dude, they did this last year. Remember they broke up? It wasn't even last year. It was the shakeup. They drafted people. They found out they were together. There was blowback on the internet, and so they had to switch people back to different... Remember, it was Charlotte and Andrade and Zelina and Alistair. They drafted everybody and then drafted them right back.
Wow. Unbelievable. So I guess Tucker has something to do with Otis. Now they got something to do. And, I guess Otis does need something to do. And they and at the end of the day, when they put that Money in the Bank briefcase on Otis, they realized, how the fuck do we get out of this? Because we don't want to make him world champion, and Otis would look like such a geek if we have him like call his shot and then lose. It would be just like, you can do that with Corbin, and you can do that with like, well, you know, what was it? Aaron Stevens, whatever. I mean, like with him, like they didn't even care about him anyway, pretty much. Damian Sandow. But, you know, or what was who was the other one? Well, Corbin was the big, you know, the big one. But you can get away with that with those guys because you can humiliate those guys. But, you know, for Otis, it would be just a disaster. So they did this instead, you know, where his partner turned on him. So there was a thing. Yeah. Unbelievable. They could have just come up with a guy that they could have figured out a way, you know, to whatever, you know, to where they could do it, as opposed to we put the briefcase on a guy and now we have no idea what we got to do.
We had Truth doing a promo, hyping up his match tonight, and then we had Drew Gulak and Tozawa versus the Lucha House Party. They go 1 minute, Truth's music hits, he comes down to ringside, Tozawa rolls him up, Truth kicks out. They're literally doing a 24/7 match in the middle of a tag team match. Tag team match is still going on. Lindsay pins Gulak with a high cross to win the tag match, and then everyone keeps trying to pin Truth, and he finally escapes with the title. It was well choreographed, but this was a waste of time as a segment.
Just something to get our Truth on TV. That's all. And I'll tell you what, you know, I mean, it's funny because the Lucha House Party against Gulak and Tozawa, like if they actually had a match, when those guys were in the ring, I was thinking like, you know, if these four guys actually had a match, it would be really good. I mean, Drew Gulak's a really good wrestler. Tozawa's a really good wrestler. Metalik is great. I mean, they're, you know, and Lindsay's very good too. I mean, but they've been portrayed in a certain way where you couldn't go like when the match starts, like, you know, even if they didn't throw on Truth, or, you know, our Truth out there, you couldn't go more than like 2 minutes because people, you know, you've categorized these guys as like comedy guys. So comedy guys can't go out there and do like a serious match because they're comedy guys. So, and that kind of a comedy match, again, you're pretty much limited. You're limited to about 2.5 minutes on a Raw.
Firefly Funhouse, Holiday Tea Party, Alexa shows up, the rabbit gets killed multiple times, and basically it's just Alexa promoting that Randy Orton is going to be on her show tonight. And then
and
Greg
setting up
the
and
rabbit
yeah,
again.
so the idea that the Fiend is going to confront Randy Orton because of jealousy over Alexa Bliss having Randy Orton sitting next to her. So that's the new. So it looks like, you know, Survivor Series is going to be at this point, and they made it very clear that at this point it's Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, which is almost like we're going to probably have a match on one of these TVs, maybe before Survivor Series, with one or both of those titles at stake. But the on the Raw side, it looks like they're going with a 3-way program with McIntyre, Randy Orton, and The Fiend. And that's a weird one because, like, the Randy Orton character right now, which is doing so well, is a very serious, real character. But if you remember when Randy Orton worked with Bray Wyatt before, they had some of the worst matches ever. And I don't know if that's like a good thing for, and McIntyre, to me, like, if you get McIntyre in there and he's got to do all that selling for The Fiend, it's like that will hurt him more than pretty much anything I can think of. So it's a real, what's the word? It's a tough one. The Fiend is a real tough one. Like, the character's really over. It sells merchandise, as much merchandise as you can sell right now. But, you know, when he works with somebody, it's real hard for that person. I mean, you know, he really should work with other gimmick people, because if you put him with the serious guys, you end up, you know, unless you want to do what you did with Seth and turn him heel, you pretty much make it very, very tough for those guys to, or, you know, you put him with The Miz, who's a mid-card
David,
guy.
it would almost seem to me that if you've got a character that works a style that results in absolutely horrendous matches with every single person they're with one or two exceptions. I mean, maybe the solution is don't have him work that style anymore. Maybe he shouldn't be invincible. Maybe he should wrestle like a normal wrestler. Maybe he should have good matches. I mean, is that,
I don't know.
Is that
I don't
out
know
of the
how
question?
I don't know how you do it with that character, though. You can't all of a sudden have that character just go out there and exchange holds.
He doesn't have to exchange holds, but like he could be a brawler, or he could be. There's a million styles he could work that don't involve him not selling and being impervious to pain.
I think you have to blow him up. I don't think that you can do anything with him in that sense. I mean, or again, just put him in there with like put him in there with like comedy guys, and then once a year or something, maybe you put him in there with a big guy and you kind of do some gimmick thing. But yeah, keep him away from your serious top guys, because it just doesn't do anyone any good to work with them. And in the end, it's like I don't think it's worth it. I think if you go through, I don't know. It's like, if you say like with Miz, does it really hurt? No. I mean, Miz, they did that thing, and, Miz can get away with it because Miz went heel. Daniel Bryan, look where Daniel Bryan is. But, I mean, he worked great matches with him. He was the only one who could. But Kevin Owens, because he's not a championship contender, I think that if they had continued that program, and I thought they would, but I think with a guy like that, or an Aleister Black, or somebody at that level, that's not going to be in your championship match, I think that's okay.
Dude, the best example of what I'm talking about, Dave, is that Kevin Owens match. They didn't do any supernatural bullshit. They went in there and they pounded on each other and they hit moves on each other, and they had like a match, and it was like the best Fiend match in forever. So maybe that's the style that he should work from now on.
Well, I think that's the style that he should be working. But even so, I don't think that that style, that would be no good for either Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton.
Well, it'll be a lot better than the style they were doing when him and Randy Orton were having some of the worst matches of all time.
Well, that was a different Bray. That was Bray Wyatt. So that was a guy who wasn't doing this. That was a guy who was just doing regular wrestling.
Talking about there were worms on the mat. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but that was different. But that wasn't the Fiend. That was also Bray Wyatt. That was weird. So it was the same thing. It was weird gimmick matches. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, though, like when they would just do a regular match, it wasn't good. I mean, all those matches were not good. That was the problem. So, the Fiend makes it harder. Bray Wyatt can go in there, and I mean, I wouldn't like. It wouldn't necessarily be a good match. It'd probably be okay, but again, putting Bray Wyatt in there isn't what the storyline is. The storyline is about the Fiend in there in the three-way program with McIntyre and Orton, and it's kind of like, I'm not sure how you get out of this one. I mean, it makes sense on paper because you got the three top guys. Drew's been protected. Randy Orton's the champion, and the Fiend is like a supernatural force that's never lost. So on that sense, like, yeah, it makes that program makes sense, but putting them in the ring, it's a tough one. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's pretty damn tough to pull this off. And, but we're going to see it. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a three-way match, but it looks like at some point we're getting a three-way match with those three.
Keith Lee does a promo. He's asked how he bounces back from losing to Braun, and he says Braun could beat him, so he low-blowed him. Next time he faces the monster, he's going to show him the real monster, but not tonight, he says. Tonight's about destroying Elias and going to the Survivor Series team on Raw. These are all matches to determine who ends up in the Survivor Series match. So, didn't even talk about AJ Jeff Hardy. That was the opener. So, they do the match, and it's actually a pretty decent match. Some good near falls at the end, and finally, Jeff tries a twist of fate on the apron. AJ posts him. Phenomenal forearm, 1, 2, 3. So, AJ is on Team Raw.
Okay, so how did Jeff Hardy get away from the monster dude?
What?
Jeff Hardy did a dive. He got caught.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, he gets caught. They go to commercial. They come back, and he's just wrestling.
And it's like
this is their new deal where they don't even
never
throw
told
to commercial now. They just like in the middle of the match, they just are on a commercial break. Like I see him get caught, and then I'm watching a Domino's commercial. So no, they had no explanation for how he got out of, and why did the Giant not get sent to the back? Or as they call him, the associate. He's the associate. The Giant Man is the associate.
He has
85 times.
He has no name.
His name is Dave, the associate.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't know how he got away from the associate. It's a mystery.
Okay.
So anyway, then we have Adam Pearce meeting with Shayna and Nia. And the women are not doing a match or a series of matches to determine who is on the team. They're just going to be on the team. So Adam Pearce says Shayna and Nia are on the team. Nia thinks she's team captain. She has a list of who she wants on the team. Pearce says, well, you're not the team captain. Shayna says, well, I have a list. Nia notes she's not on Shayna's list. They get mad at each other. Pearce says, before the end of the night, I will tell you all who's going to be on Team Raw.
That was a great hook.
It sure was, let me tell you. So was the match itself. Elias is in the ring, talks about beating up Jeff Hardy earlier. He's going to do his concert, but Keith Lee interrupts. So we have Keith Lee versus Elias. We finally have somebody that they'll actually let Keith Lee beat up as opposed to selling the entire time. He gets to do a couple of things, and then Elias makes a comeback or whatever. He goes up top, and Jeff Hardy's music hits. Elias is distracted, and Keith Lee spirit bombs him for the pin. So they won't even let Keith Lee beat the Drifter without interference.
Well,
but at least he won.
He won, and they're trying to keep, the whole idea is to keep the Jeff Hardy Elias thing going after that wonderful match that
they kept it going earlier in the evening. After Jeff lost, the Drifter beat him up and hit him with a guitar. What do we need 2-on-1 show for?
So Jeff can hit Elias with a guitar again.
Wow, great.
Which in fact happened.
Do you remember when Keith Lee beat Randy Orton?
I actually do remember that.
Yeah.
Not that it went anywhere.
Now Randy Orton's a champion.
Yeah,
now,
but it doesn't matter because
word from Keith Lee about, I beat the new WWE champion.
Yeah, but he got RKO'd week after week, so it's kind of like, who cares now? I mean, it would have, if it would have made sense, of course, it would have made sense. It would have made all the sense in the world, but they destroyed him long before we got here. People don't see Keith Lee at that level. I suppose they could throw him in there, and he could still say that, but he never did. It's not like he did in his promo and go, by the way, Randy Orton, I got to win over you in 6 minutes. No, not a word. So they've as Charlie Caruso would say, they've moved on.
Oh, we're going to get to Charlie here. Charlie's with Orton. She says, are you concerned that the Fiend might appear during a moment of bliss? And he says, I don't care who you are. At the end of the day, there's only one Randy Orton. Only people who should be concerned are the people that cross me. And there's a better one coming up later. They announced Lashley versus Sami Zayn, champion versus champion at Survivor Series.
Well,
yes, Lashley versus Sami Zayn.
They did bring up the program that they had before. I know it's kind of like heel versus heel and everything, but when Sami Zayn...
Well, I think every match is heel versus heel because they only have heels, but...
Well, the tag team title match is babyface versus babyface.
That is one.
Or not tag team. None of these are title matches, but the battle of tag team champions is babyface versus babyface. And the women's match is babyface versus babyface also.
I guess so, yeah. We got two. Hurt Business comes out for a promo, and they cut a promo on Retribution. Basically, they note that
this is the feud of the year.
Everybody ran away from Retribution, but they didn't, and they're going to take care of them, and then they want to be paid in gold. So yes, it literally is the Hurt Business versus Apollo Crews and Ricochet. They were doing it all over again with Retribution. This time, it's an elimination match. And they're doing this match, and suddenly Mia Yim jumps in the ring, and she starts scratching herself and twitching, and she falls on the ground and has a seizure, and MVP is distracted. Slapjack rolls him up, eliminates him. They reveal during the commercial break that Mia was faking it, but she gets ejected. Lashley pins Slapjack. He eliminates him. Lashley and T-Bar brawl outside. They're counted out. It's down to Ali and Mace versus Benjamin and Alexander. Yeah, Shelton pins Mace.
The whole deal that they explained was that that was even though it was like a double count out, that was like strategic for Retribution because essentially the only way to eliminate Lashley, you can't beat him, is you sacrifice your own guy to get rid of him because Bobby
Dumbest
Lashley
thing
is
I've ever heard.
Bobby Lashley's
A
unbeatable.
lot of good this did them. So Ali ends up all by himself, and after all that, I don't know how long this match went, but it was a while. Ali hits him with a chair, and he is disqualified.
Hit Cedric with the chair and got DQ'd.
Retribution is now 0 for 3 against the Hurt Business.
Yeah, and then somehow Ali later did an interview acting like that there's like something left in this thing. But yeah, this Retribution thing, boy, between Slapjack's mask and just they're just being booked like
dead in the water.
Yeah, dead in the water. And then the Hurt Business is like coming across like cool baby faces. They might be able to sell some merch if there were people there.
We have the worst Lothario ever, Angel Garza. He hits on Mandy, he gets turned down. He hits on Dana, he gets turned down. He hits on Nia, he gets turned down. He hits on Shayna. No. He was turned down by Nia first, then he's turned down by Shayna, and finally Nia takes his rose.
Yeah. Well, no, Nia said that she would do it. She made that very clear because Shayna goes, "You're going to do something with Garza?" And she goes, "Why not?"
Yeah, she did at the very end after turning him down at first. Yeah. So they all bicker about Survivor Series. They all want to be the leaders of the team. Like it makes one fucking bit of difference who the leader of the team is. I mean, it never has mattered historically. It's just something for people to yell at each other about. Drew versus Miz. Yes, Drew McIntyre versus Miz.
It worked. It was just a 2-minute squash. Drew needed to win.
Squash. I mean, they went back and forth, and Drew made a comeback and throws Miz all over the place, and Claymore's him
all over the place. It was just Drew to look strong against guys that they have no trouble sacrificing. So,
I love how they're sacrificing the Money in the Bank title holder.
Well, evidently they
let's do a match where the person who won the G1, let's just squash them.
Into G1, and even close.
Well, I know that
we've already established that this Money in the Bank doesn't mean anything this year because they booked themselves into a corner. So, it's just,
they booked themselves into a corner, and then they booked themselves out of the corner into another corner because Miz now has the briefcase.
Yeah, but Miz can go in there and I suppose I can't imagine Miz winning. It's just a way to get out of it.
He's got to cash in, and Otis costs him the match, and then there you go.
Otis on the other brand. He should just get
Survivor Series.
He's going to cash in at Survivor Series.
He's going to try and cash in Survivor Series, and Otis screws him.
I guess you could do that.
It's 20-year. It's like the 10-year anniversary of when he cashed in.
Yeah,
Survivor Series.
I guess. I don't know. Miz is a guy. I mean, and you need guys like this in wrestling. Miz is a heel, and he's a really good talker, and he's got some credibility, and he can lose all the time, and he's still the Miz because he can talk and because he's a star. And those guys are valuable right now. Because goddamn, somebody's got to lose to baby faces. I mean, and most of these guys, Sheamus can't, obviously.
We'll get to that. Kofi and Xavier dress as Street Profits. They announce a bunch of matches for Survivor Series. It is Street Profits versus The New Day, champion versus champion. Asuka versus Sasha. Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. Lashley versus Sami Zayn. MVP then tells him that we want your tag titles. And Asuka starts a New Day Rocks chant. Whole thing, New Day was great as the Street Profits, but this segment was so wacky. And we go from this literally immediately to a video package with Paul Heyman doing this uber serious promo about the Tribal King and what he has done to his cousins. It was quite the contrast. So then Charlie goes to interview Drew. She says, "Drew, was tonight your first step to regaining the title?" And Drew says, "Sure."
It was.
Threatens to run in on a moment of bliss later. Adam Pearce and Pat Buck are in the ring. Pearce says, "I'm going to introduce all of the women for the Raw Survivor Series elimination team. Nia Jackson, Shayna, Mandy Rose, and Dana. He's about to do the fifth one when the women start crying about who's going to be the captain again. And Pearce says, well, we'll determine this fifth person in a fatal four-way coming up next. It is Lana versus Lacey Evans versus Peyton versus Nikki. There was
not a good match.
One woman in this match who worked like a wrestler. It was Nikki. The rest of them, it's just they're trying all these goofy spots. Lana's falling down on the ropes. Nothing looks good. It's all just a disaster. And finally, there's a stacked up superplex. Lana pulls Peyton out of the ring. Lana pins Nikki Cross, and she's on the team.
Yeah, well, that's the whole gimmick.
And then she goes outside to her team. Nia says, Lana, give me a hug. This fucking dumb babyface, allegedly, hugs Nia, and then Nia grabs her and she puts her through the table for the 5th straight week. Dave, there's no way she's supposed to be a babyface. Zero.
Lana?
There's no way.
Lana is supposed to. You know, they keep putting her through the table because they think that's
if
making
I
her.
If I find out that she's supposed to be a babyface, like I'm going to call in the next investors call, and I'm going to just demand Vince step down.
Okay, well, I can tell you that that's it because I was told I was told this before this, not before the first table break, but by the second or third table break, it's like she's going to get the idea is they're going to put her through that table over and over again.
No one could have told you that they expect her to get over doing this. That's impossible.
Not only expect her, but to be a hot babyface. Absolutely. That is now whether it happens or not, that's a different story. But absolutely, that is
whether it happens or not, it's not going to happen, Dave. Okay, it's impossible.
Oh, I suppose it probably is, but that's what they thought. They thought that is going to make her into a popular figure. You know,
it makes her into an idiot character. Every single week she's put through this table. And then after 5 times, she goes to hug the person that put her through the table like a complete idiot. And she gets put through a table again.
Yeah. But she is obviously a babyface because the whole idea is she does all this, but she continues to sneak through, and she won the Battle Royal and she won this match, and it's like
she stole a pin.
But
she hid outside in a Battle Royal. I mean, dude, come on. Who is writing this?
Bruce Pritchard.
Let's do everything wrong and then expect her to get over as a babyface.
Well, there you go.
Hiding outside and then sneaking in at the end to win the Battle Royal.
Mm-hmm.
Stealing a pin in a tag match.
But
hugging someone that put you through a table 5 times and getting put through a 6th time.
I mean, but when you watch it, it's obvious that they're trying to make her a babyface from this. I mean, it's so clear. I mean, whether it's going to work or not at a high level. I mean, the whole deal is to make her into this character.
It may be clear to you, Dave, but when I watched this tonight, I was like, dude, there's no way. You can't possibly be trying to make her a babyface. Unless you're completely incompetent.
Well, I mean, they're incompetent, but how else are you going to, I mean, it's like, that's why they keep doing it.
That's the best they can come up with to try to make Lana a babyface.
The whole idea is we keep putting her through a table over and over and over again, and it becomes her calling card that they keep every week. You do it over.
Calling card is being put through a table.
You do it over and over again.
This will make her a babyface.
Yeah. Well, is Nia a heel?
Dude, she was a babyface tonight.
Nia Jax? No way.
She's a heel, but who cares? Like, every heel beats up every... The Hurt Business are supposed to be heels.
That's a different issue. The Hurt Business
No, it's the same issue. They don't get anything.
The Hurt Business are supposed to be heels, but the Hurt Business are coming across as baby faces.
Exactly. That's my point. They don't know how to make a baby face. They can't figure out what to do with heels.
Well, goddamn, we don't know how to make a baby face. They haven't known how to make a baby face in goddamn how many years? I mean, that is right there is I was freaking when they did this draft and I was looking at the rosters on both sides, and it's like, there's no baby faces that are, aside from Drew McIntyre is like the only main event baby face that they've really, done. And, for whatever reason, they let him be a baby face, but they don't know how to make baby faces. I mean, just look at every baby face. Keith Lee was supposed to be this big monster baby face. And look at that.
So then, speaking of babyface and heels, Charlie Caruso knocks on Randy Orton's door. He opens the door and she says, Randy, did you see a moment of bliss? are you still going to be on the Firefly Funhouse? And he looks at her like this is the dumbest question he's ever been asked. And he says, yeah. And he goes back into his room and she stops him and she says, you did hear what Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt had to say, right? And he says, yes. And he tries to go back in the room and she goes, you didn't take that as a veiled threat? Now he looks like he's ready to kill himself. And she goes on, and finally he says, I'm not afraid of the Fiend. And he goes back into his room. And I'm like, that guy's supposed to be a heel?
Yeah, but at the end of the show, he was afraid of the Fiend. That's how it ended. It's like he acted like he's so cool, and the Fiend shows up and he runs away, runs right into Drew because he's afraid of the Fiend.
He just kind of stood there and then walked back to fight Drew, but he did look nervous that the Fiend was behind him, which was why is he looking nervous? Because this masked guy is behind him. Because
at the end, he was trying to act cool, but in the end, he wasn't so cool. When he was face to face with the dude, he wasn't so cool after all.
So all he's doing this promo with his 0-3 team, and he's just trying to save this. God bless this guy.
Poor guy. Poor guy wanted to get over as a babyface. His whole gimmick was that, he didn't want to be that heel. I mean, he's not that heel. I'll give him that. He's not playing upon his heritage to be a heel. He's just a heel. But yeah, they gave him this act that they bring this act in and they give him this outsider gimmick, and now they're not going to push him. And it's like, what, I mean, the minute that they announced that they signed him, it was pretty much over, right?
Oh, you kidding me?
How do you, well, we've signed these guys. Their whole thing is that, they hate the company and they're, doing all this.
Let's sign them, and then let's draft them to our brand, even though they've done all this destruction.
Yeah.
Put Ali in there, and we'll just beat them like a drum.
So now that they can do anything, they don't do anything, and they have no.
Oh, and then Mia pretends like she's attacked by invisible bugs, and then the ref's like, "You got to get out of here," so she leaves. I'm like, "Wow, it's retribution for you."
Poor Mia. It's like she doesn't even have any opponents. They didn't even put her in that match. She probably would help that match in some form, at least.
Well, who's on the other team?
No, she in that Survivor Series match with Lana.
Oh, I thought you were talking about put her in the match tonight. I got it.
No. If they put her in that match.
She would have been far superior to Lana in that match.
And Peyton. And pretty much everyone.
Well, Peyton's not in the match. I'm talking about on the Survivor Series team.
Oh, on the team?
Yes.
She's better than Mandy and Dana.
And Lana.
And Lana.
And Nia.
And Nia. Yeah. So there you go. She would be superior. Yeah. They could have done that too, but then they would have to have like teammates don't get along. Like
we have that.
I know. I'm only teasing you. Obviously,
God,
the whole
killing
thing.
Me.
The whole thing is teammates who don't get along. I know it's just ridiculous.
All right. So speaking of ridiculous, we've got Matt Riddle and Sheamus. And how many excellent Matt Riddle matches have you seen in the last decade?
Well, not that many years. He's only been wrestling for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so how many have you seen in the last 3-4 years? Countless?
Put it this way.
I mean, you can't count on 2 hands.
Oh, God, no. No,
okay.
I mean, I would.
How many excellent Sheamus matches have you seen in the last 4 years?
Excellent Sheamus matches. I've seen some pretty good ones, but I would say that, like, I would say that the worst Matt Riddle match that I've seen live is better than the best Sheamus match that I've seen on television. Yes, I would say it because I have never seen Matt Riddle live have anything less than. I mean, I've seen Matt Riddle in some freaking awesome matches live. I mean, he had a match with Keith. I didn't see this one live. Actually, I saw this one on tape. But the match with Keith Lee, holy crap, that match was fantastic. I mean, that match would have been, since the pandemic, it would have been the best match in WWE, easily. Zack Sabre match right after when Zack was on that big run where he submitted Tanahashi and everybody in that New Japan Cup. Before, in the middle of that run, he had a match with Matt Riddle. Frickin' fantastic match.
All right, well, we're going down a rabbit hole here. The point of this is they go in there And they have the best Sheamus match I've seen in years.
It was a good match.
And name a better Sheamus match.
I'm sure if he wrestled Daniel Bryan, he probably had a better match, but it wouldn't be that many. The Big E match, I have to say the Big E brawl was pretty good.
That was a good smoke and mirrors match. They threw each other on the cars and everything like that. But in the ring, as a match, hold for hold, name a better Sheamus match.
Sheamus matches are just not that memorable to me.
Okay, so the common denominator here is Matt Riddle. He goes in there, he drags this great match out of Sheamus, and then he gets bro kicked and pinned.
You didn't expect that?
Dude. It doesn't matter what I'm expecting. We're at the point now where, like, what's going on here?
As soon as that match started, it's like...
This guy's 42 years old. He's been here forever.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is...
Elevate one guy. I'm begging you. I'm daring them. Elevate one guy. One guy.
Yeah, they haven't done a good job of that. As soon as the match started, it's like, oh, he's getting bro kicked. Because it's just like, that's just the way they do it. But yeah, it boggled my mind because it's like, he's getting bro kicked. And it's like, whenever I talk to like Mike Tenay next, he's just going to go like, they're so incompetent because that was like,
dude, I don't think you need to talk to Mike Tenay to get this insight.
No, but we had a discussion about Matt Riddle when Matt Riddle first started, and he just thought, that's your guy. And it's like, well, he was for 1 week. I mean, it's like that. It was, they just, it's just like everybody, just wait, Too bad it wasn't like, it doesn't matter who it is. So here's the thing. So Sheamus is on that team instead of Matt Riddle when obviously you would want Matt Riddle on that team and in that focus spot, but whatever. It doesn't matter at this point. They're all interchangeable. They're all worker bees anyway. So what does it matter?
Finally, we got the Firefly Funhouse. Alexa Bliss calls out Orton. Orton comes out like he's going to the electric chair. He wants to be anywhere but in this stupid segment. He doesn't want to sit down. She's asking him about The Fiend. He wants to know where The Fiend's at. Drew McIntyre comes out instead. They start brawling for a while. Lights go out. Lights come back on. Randy Orton's on the ramp. He notices The Fiend is behind him. He gets a nervous look on his face. And then he just goes back to the ring and he keeps brawling with Drew. We never see The Fiend again. He gives Drew the backdrop on the announce table. And he's punching him, and all of a sudden I'm watching the next show. It just ended.
I will say this. I could not believe they went off the air with Randy Orton on top of Drew. I could not believe it.
Well, they did.
I know they did. Because it's like, that is so basic stupidity that like it's like Drew just lost the championship to him the night before. He's the babyface going for revenge, and at the end, he's the one getting pounded on. I mean, the heel champion is pounding on the baby. It's just like, that's just elementary. We've had a whole 3 hours of elementary stupidity, but come on. That was so stupid. I mean, I mean, like, again, like I knew the Sheamus thing with Matt Riddle, but absolutely when that thing when I saw him do the backdrop and I saw the credit thing, that little thing at the end, I go like, they're not going off the air with Randy Orton on top of this in this fight. And they did. And it's like, what are you doing? Anyway.
Well, with all due respect to the creators of this program, your show sucked on Monday night.
The booking is terrible.
It's atrocious. Absolutely atrocious.
It's absolutely terrible. The wrestling, some of the wrestling's fine. Some of the personalities are good.
Yeah, but you know how hard it is to enjoy a wrestling show for wrestling when it's booked like,
it's hard. I enjoyed certain things. I enjoyed the Sheamus match, but at the end of the day, when it was over...
Yeah, you enjoy the Sheamus match, so they bro-kick Matt Riddle, and it's like, dude, one guy, elevate one person. I'm not even asking for two. I'm asking for one. I mean, it would be great if you could elevate like a lot of people, but I'm not going to be crazy here. Like one person. Like, can you elevate one solitary person? One.
Hey, look. It's it's Vince.
We got two brands.
Vince is like the opposite of the old Vince. I mean, the old Vince was always about bringing in new guys and elevating new guys. The whole lifeblood was, and his father was even more. His father would bring in guys every 3 weeks and shoot them to the moon because that's how the territory worked. He was constantly doing that. And then Vince, it's like, I think when you get old and then the nature of time slows down, and I think that Vince like doesn't realize that like the 10 years to like you and me is like 18 months to him, like with Randy Orton and The Miz. And he still thinks like Randy Orton is a young guy because 20 years ago he was a young guy and things haven't changed in Vince's mind. And The Miz is this, young guy, and Sheamus is this guy who, he's got a good body and he's got a cool look, and he's a new guy. He doesn't realize he's not a new guy. And then these other guys are just like millennials that just aren't ready, like they're in their mid 30s and they're just not ready because I don't know them and I haven't seen them. You think, Vince didn't see all the stuff that like I saw with Matt Riddle. He just sees some guy. I don't know how you miss it, but he's missed it on so many people. Oh, if you think about it, you think about those guys. Look at like, there are so many of these guys that were so good elsewhere. And then you see him in WWE. It's almost like,
dude, it's not even elsewhere. They were so good in NXT.
Yeah, but
not even like we're talking about somebody that was great in Impact or some other I mean, we're talking his own company, and he can't do anything with them.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, like, I mean, there's like nobody. There's nobody like, and then, okay, when you talk about elevate one guy, there is one guy that they're absolutely doing that with. Lars Sullivan. That's the guy.
Dave, it's been 3 weeks, okay?
Yeah.
It's been 3 weeks. All right? If this guy is in a major match with a big star at WrestleMania and gets a win, then I will grant you that. But I'm not giving anybody who's been on there for 3 weeks this elevation deal. Like, Lars Sullivan needs to be where a Drew McIntyre, a Randy Orton, a Roman Reigns.
Should he really be there, though?
Not right now, but that's what you gotta shoot for. You gotta build him up, and you have to have a goal, and you don't give up on the guy.
A goal. They don't even know 3 weeks ahead. Come on, they don't even know Thursday.
I'm well aware of this, but I'm telling you what needs
Thursday
to be done
morning what they're doing
to elevate somebody.
They don't even know Thursday morning what they're doing Friday night.
I want a new face. I want a new face up there at the top.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what elevating somebody means.
Yeah, I do
Randy
too.
Orton is a champion. And I love Randy Orton. He's had a fantastic year. But Randy Orton is your champion. The Miz has the Money in the Bank. We've got actually Drew, I'll give him Drew. They've elevated Drew. He's like the one guy. Drew has legitimately been elevated.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's it.
I mean, as far as like get to that level,
I mean, don't tell me Jey Uso. You all know where Jey Uso's going to be by WrestleMania.
Jey Uso's
be in a tag team match.
Jey Uso's going to be back in the.
I mean, Roman Reigns has been there forever.
Yeah, although Roman Reigns is doing the best work of his career, though.
He is. He's fantastic.
Yeah,
but it's the same faces.
Absolutely.
We need new people. I want someone new for Roman Reigns to face. I love Daniel Bryan.
New.
Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan again, dude. That's 8 years ago.
They got nobody better.
Dave,
what else are you going to do? You have to do matches.
There are so many talented people in NXT that you could bring up that are great.
You want to bring up Gargano?
I didn't say Gargano. You could add Matt Riddle.
Well, they've already ruined it with Matt Riddle.
I realize that. You could have had Keith Lee. I realize that. You could have had a million guys.
I can't say that they've ruined it with Keith Lee, but
Dave, he's done.
He's not done. He's
a dragon now.
He feels like a mid-card guy.
Yes.
But you can still do so. He's not done. Riddle's pretty, I don't want to say done, but Riddle's in rough shape, without a doubt.
Riddle's in rough shape, but you know what? Of the two, one of them goes in there and does their match, and the other one doesn't. Matt Riddle goes in there and does Matt Riddle matches. Keith Lee goes in there and does whatever, a random generic WWE big man match.
Yep.
There is no Keith Lee in Keith Lee. So yeah, they can try to do something with the guy, but you're still not getting Keith Lee. They won't let him be Keith Lee. And he ain't going to get over that big if he's not Keith Lee.
I don't understand that. I just don't. It's like, how do you... But then again, look, they had Bill Goldberg the first time. Now, the second time they did let him be Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, and look at the difference.
I know, but I'm just saying, even 20 years ago, when they were not as, absolutely messed up as they are now, as far as creative goes, they had Bill Goldberg, the easiest guy in the world to book, the absolute easiest. A monkey can book him because all you do is go, feed him a guy, feed him a guy, have him beat him in 2 minutes, he's going to get over. And they kept going like, we can't be feeding them guys. What kind of booking is that? We got to put a freaking wig on his head to show some personality. And that was when they were much better than they are now.
Well, anyway, everybody, we got to wrap it up for today. So we got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday Observer Radios. So we got 4 days worth of shows if you've not heard them yet. Back issues coming out tomorrow. New Observers coming out on Thursday. And Dave and I will be back on Wednesday for AEW and Halloween Havoc, as well as all of the news.
I'm sure to be better shows than this.
I promise you. It is impossible for them to be as bad as the show that I just watched. So we can all look forward to that on Wednesday.
Creatively, there is 0% chance. 0%
Zilch.
chance that either of those shows could be worse than tonight. I would agree. Yeah, no matter what happens on NXT, it can't be worse. And I know AEW won't be worse as far as creative goes. There's no way. This is some real bad.
Johnny Gargano's reaction to whatever that wheel lands on is probably going to be better than anything on this Raw show.
Yeah. So why are the better guys? Like, look, what's so funny is like Adam Cole is one of the most charismatic guys in all of wrestling. And like my mentality on Adam Cole is like, oh, if he goes to the main roster, he's just going to get killed. That's like,
yes.
How could that be? And I've been around the guy, and in person, he's like just a super charismatic individual. It's like, it's not even like Roderick Strong, who's like a super worker, but he's not a super charismatic guy. But a guy like that, like I always think like if I had a promotion, I would love to have a Roderick Strong because you can just plug him in anywhere, and no matter what, win or lose, he doesn't have to win all the time, but he should win a lot. But it's like he's going to make every match good. There's always a role for someone who can do that. Not in WWE, but like in any normal world. But it's like these guys. It's like Adam Cole it's like he's been there for years. And I mean, and it's to his benefit that he hasn't come up, because if he comes up, they'll never push him. It is just whatever. It boggles the mind.